Okay, so let's get into how you actually maneuver and manipulate and manage your notebook. So I've populated my notebook with the content that I have for my class. So in my collaboration space, I still have the opening page, so I didn't delete it, but I have my 3D printer workshop collaboration space where the whole class has been working on the different notes and different things we need to know about 3D recording or 3D printing, sorry. The red group has a specific page that I'm going to ask them to collaborate on how to create this shape with the tangram, and the green group I've created is going to be doing this one. Now the green group's a little bit more advanced, but remember only certain students can see the different collaboration spaces when it becomes red or green group. If we wanted to check out who those students were, we can go back into the manage notebooks, and once it loads online I can click on collaborate space permissions, and it will remind me which students I asked to collaborate inside the green group and the red group. So you can see that there's one student in the green, two in the red, and everybody else is using the whole collaboration space. Okay. For now, I'm using the desktop version of OneNote because it's more responsive and it's not lagging as much, but it won't matter. Most of the things we're doing here, it won't matter where you do that. In my content library, I have my problem of the week. Now these are all problem of the weeks that the students can see, but they can't manipulate the content in here. Only I can. They can see it, and I can have them complete this on a separate piece of paper, or later on I can choose to publish this problem of the week to all of their pages, which I'll show you in a little bit. Here's my teacher only section, and I've got the other teacher and I are working on some assessments. We've created a practice electricity quiz, and you can see the 4 pages that we've uploaded from an original document. If I wanted to insert a page of a file that I already have, it's really quite easy. All I have to do is click and drag from a existing page. So if I say I wanted something to do with coins, let's say, and I wanted to do a practice quiz on coins, I could add a page here, and I'm going to call it coins. Whoops. And if I wanted students to know which coins were which, I could click and drag from another space on my computer into here. And because it's a picture file, it's going to automatically paste it as a picture. Okay. So I've got my front of my 1-cent penny here, and I've got the back here, or sorry, the front and the back as laid out, front and back. And then I can decide, well, if I want that to be a quiz, I could put on the front here, how many pennies would it take to build 10 cents or 5 cents, and I can change the size of these all I want. Okay, so this is going to be my pennies quiz that if I want. If I had a actual Word document or a PDF that I wanted to upload, it wouldn't take much to do that. I could just click and drag in here, and I can choose where I want to insert as an attachment or as a printout. Now if I insert as an attachment, it just shows up like that. Okay, that's not really helpful for kids, especially when they're doing assessments that you want them to be able to see. So I'm actually just going to import it as a printout, and when I insert it as a printout, it actually will show the pages that I have in that Word document. Okay, so you can see that I've got the whole thing here. Here's a document I uploaded, timeline of events for the COVID-19. It's all there visible, and I can manipulate the size of the pages. Okay, I can make it a little bit smaller if I want, so that when I zoom out a little bit here, I can maybe make this, instead of being all these pages all over the place, I can put them side by side by side. I can make them all the same size. I can leave these files here, but if I delete them, it's not going to remove the pages. So that's very helpful for me, so I don't have to have all those little links there. But I can just manipulate these in any order I want, and I've got my assessment done. For this part though, we imported a form directly from Microsoft Forms. So all I had to do was go into Insert and then go into Forms, and it opened up my forms that I have created, and I just chose whichever one that I wanted to add and then just put it right in there. So let's say I wanted to do an assessment questionnaire. Insert, and once the link is there, then it'll load right into there, and I've got my questionnaire ready to go. If I don't want that one, I can just go delete, and it's gone. Okay, so what's really handy is you can actually create a form right in here that the students just type right into or fill out, and your data will be collected directly into Microsoft Forms. So that's a handy one. Okay, so let's say I'm done with this electricity quiz. I'm good with this one. I'm ready for it to go, and I want the students to have this. So how do I do that? Well, I don't want to have to drag it into each one of the different students. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go class notebook, and I'm going to distribute page. Okay. And if I click distribute page on the drop down, it's going to tell me where do you want this to go. Well, I'm going to go out under quizzes, and then I'm going to click distribute. Okay, before I do that though, I'm going to show you that I can also go individual distribution. So let's say, well, I only want this quiz for certain kids because they were the ones that saw that lesson, and others I'm going to wait. So I'm actually going to send this to just Michaela and just to Sandy right now. Jen's already done it. So I'm going to ask Michaela and Sandy to finish it. So I click next. I'm going to go on their quizzes and distribute. And then they're going to get the copy of it in a little bit here. So I just wait till it's 100% complete. Perfect, all done. So I can close that tab. So now that I've sent this page to everybody, I'm going to actually review Jen's page because I know that she's completed it. So I'm going to go into her quizzes section, and I can see that she's already completed the quiz. She's already written all over it. So now I can go in here and I can go insert, and I can click here, and I can provide some feedback for Jen. Okay, and I can even give her a little bit of a smiley face if I want. And I could mark it up as well and just mark this. Oh, this isn't supposed to be electrode, it's supposed to be anode. Okay, but I circled it so that she needs to check it out. There, we're done with my mouse. Pretty good. That's supposed to be anode, let's say. So then she needs to fix that one. I can also go back into the insert part here, and I can go insert audio. And I can say, hey, Jen, this is actually supposed to be anode, not electrode, but you did really well on the rest of it. I click stop. And now it's showing up right here. This is now, oops, I'm still on pen, sorry. This is now a recording that Jen can go back and listen to and hear everything that I've said about her quiz and how she's done on it. So it's kind of neat to give that kind of feedback to kids, and it's kind of personalized and it's not just written. So that's how I would distribute the quiz to all the students, because it's in my teacher only section here. Let's say that I'm ready to send out this problem of the week. So I'm ready to send both of those. So I'm going to hold down my control key and I'm going to click both of those. Go back into my class notebook and I'm going to distribute page, and I'm going to distribute page to every person. But I'm actually going to put it in my homework because I want them to do that as homework. Okay, so I'm going to distribute that. And so now it's working on putting problem of the week 15 and 14 in all of my students' homework pages because I want those ones to be done at homework. There, 14's done, and now 15's done. Okay, and just to show that I'm actually ready for those to be done, I don't need them to be in the teacher only section. I'm going to copy to content library as well, because they're ready to go in there for students to see. And I'm going to put under problem of the week, click next, inside my grade 4, copy, and now those sections are not only going to be in my problem of the week under teacher only, they'll eventually show up under my problem of the week down here once it syncs a little bit. If your notebook isn't syncing like the way you want it to, you can always right click here on the name and go sync and sync this notebook. Sometimes that helps a little bit because it'll work a little bit faster to sync it. Sometimes it still takes a couple of minutes. So you can see up here it's still trying to think and sync from the web. Okay, so I've got my killer kid for Japanese tree frog section that Miss Craven and I have been working on. It's got all sorts of auto recordings. We've got embedded PowerPoints. We've got author bios. We've got puzzles in here for the kids to do. We've got the life cycle of a tree frog with different questions the kids ask and different snapshots of the different pages. Like we are so ready for this to be done. So all I really need to do here is right click, and I'm going to move or copy this, and I'm going to choose the notebook that I'm going to move it to, which is our grade 4, right? content library is where I want to move it to. I'm done having it in the teacher section. I want the kids to be able to see it because it is ready to go. Okay, so I'm going to move it into my content library. Okay, so now you notice it's in content library. Now, being in here, individual students can't edit these individual pages in here, right? They're just sort of in here. But let's say I did want them to work on this. I could distribute a new section with the kids and say, well, actually, I'm going to do a new section to everybody in their notebooks. I'm going to call it the Tree Frog learning sheets. And I'm going to distribute. And once it's synced, it's going to show up in each one of the students under their individual name. And now you can actually see that it's popped in after a little bit of waiting and a little bit of magic of podcast slicing. That now underneath each of my students is my Tree Frog Learning tab. So now what I can do is I can sticking with the Japanese Tree Frog page, because I have this page I want them to work on. I'm going to go back into Class Notebook. I'm going to distribute the page. I'm going to distribute this one to everybody this time into their Tree Frog Learning sheets, so that each student can now work on those Tree Frog Learning sheets, and I can go back and I can assess each one of those. So that's a very quick rundown. Hopefully it makes sense on how to create the tabs and how to move pages here and there. Using the right-click feature does give you a lot of the options that you need. And as I go, I can keep adding pages or keep adding sections as listed on the bottom here, and just keep adding to the area that I need to add in. Hopefully that helps out.